right, Harry. So we went through a lot of the technique elements of this, but that's only half the battle. I think when we're practicing, we want to try and make it as hard as we can, because the harder that we can make it here, the easier it's going to be on the course. There's three areas of practice, or three different ways to practice, where it's block, random, and competitive.
Yeah.
Block would be just us here in the one spot, kind of working on a technique, hitting the same shot over and over again. That's fine if we're working on a technique. You'll often see guys in the range, if they're working on just a particular element of their swing, they'll just be in the same area, hitting the same shot all the time. That's fine for technique, but there comes a time where we need to park technique and work on feel and touch and hitting shots under pressure. So if we're working on connection with the ball, block practice is fine. I think once you can get a bit comfortable with that, you can do random practice, so you can put yourself in different areas around the green that demands like a different distance or a different height.
Yeah.
You can still work on your technique a bit there, but it gets you away from just being in a static environment where you're just working on one thing. And the last one, which I think people don't practice enough, is the competitive element to it. So an example of that would be if I put you in 9 different spots around the green and made everything a par 2, chipped it up, and you had to hold the putt. And I think it's beneficial if you can log that as well. So each time that you're out here, you can do it as many times as you want. I can come out here and put 9 different cones around the green. There might be a few in the bunker, a few on different slopes like uphill, downhill, and then chip it up and try and make the putt.
Yeah.
If you get down to 2, it's a par. If you get down to 3, it's a bogey. 4, it's a double bogey, and then just keep logging those scores. That's a great way for you to transfer what you're working on here on the practice area onto the course. Is there any questions or?
No, it doesn't sound pretty fun.
Okay, yeah. It really is the best way to develop someone's game. I think an example that springs to mind is Francesco Molinari. You might not know him. He won the 2018 Open at Carnoustie, and he was working with a sports performance coach, and he struggled bringing his practice into competition, but he was doing a lot of block practice and just expected that to transfer. So what the performance coach had him do is he'd have him hit like 10 balls in the range, and then he'd come chipping, and then he'd come putting, and he'd never spend more than like 5 minutes in one area. And that got his mind used to being in a creative and competitive environment, and then it was a lot easier to transfer his practice onto the court. So I think you'll take to that very fast. It makes it fun as well. It's a bit of a change, because sometimes beating balls in the range can get a bit boring. So I think that'll help you a lot. And let me know how it's going, and just make sure to log and write down what your scores are as well. I think that's